everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Moment podcast. My name is Regine Bowe, and I am a social worker who wants to give you hope, encourage you, and help you feel less alone in your healing journey. This podcast is dedicated to helping you heal, learn, and grow to become a better version of yourself. Through education and personal experience, I will discuss topics around mental health and spirituality. So, let's get started on today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Breaking Moment podcast. I am your host, Regine Bowe, and we are at episode 15. Oh my goodness, if you've been on this journey since day one, thank you for constantly showing support and listening. And if you're just joining, welcome. I'm just in amazement that it's episode 15. Like, I literally remember brainstorming all this and coming up with a plan of how to create a podcast and watching videos on how to create a podcast. So I'm super excited for episode 15. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about self-sabotage. And you guys might have heard of the term before. You might have never heard of it. So I'm hoping after today you will have more information about it. You know, if you are someone that is self-sabotaging or someone that you know that does self-sabotage, I hope that this episode can help you with understanding why we self-sabotage, understanding what it is, and hopefully to help you to stop self-sabotaging or, try your best to decrease the behaviors and to help you so that you can continuously move forward. So today we're going to talk about the definition of self-sabotage. We're going to go over some examples of self-sabotaging behaviors. We're going to talk about what causes self-sabotaging behaviors. We're going to talk about steps to stop self-sabotaging. I wanted to talk about self-sabotage because I think as we continuously are healing, we're learning, we're growing, we are starting to, want more for ourselves. We want that relationship. We want a promotion at the job. We want to live in a nice home. We want more for ourselves, but sometimes we get stuck in self-sabotaging behaviors because maybe it wasn't a norm. Maybe we struggle with low self-esteem. There's so many factors that play into self-sabotaging behaviors. So I want us to talk about it so that we can become a better version of ourselves, because self-sabotaging behaviors will prevent us from becoming a better version of ourselves, because that better version of you might deserve a new job or a job promotion or a new relationship or whatever it may be. But if we're sabotaging those things, then we can never, become our best selves, because there's more out there for us, but we continuously sabotage and prevent ourselves from getting to those things. So that's why I want to talk about it today. So we're going to get started. According to positive psychology, self-sabotage occurs when we destroy ourselves physically, mentally, or emotionally, or deliberately hinder our own success and well-being by undermining personal goals and values. That was a lot. We're going to break it down a little bit. So, it destroys our physical, it destroys our mental and emotional well-being. Because think about it. Every time you're close to starting or launching something that you've created and you procrastinate, and then next thing you know, a year passes, then 2 years pass, but you know that you can do it. You know that you have so much information that you can share with others. Or maybe you're in a healthy relationship and you are continuously picking fights with your partner and trying to find every little thing wrong because you're fearful of being hurt again or different things like that. So, it destroys us physically, it destroys us mentally, it destroys us emotionally, and it it prevents, it can cause delay in our own success and well-being, because it undermines personal goals and values. So this all has to do with you and you excelling in life and you becoming your best self and living your best life and you being able to get the things that you deserve. It prevents those things because we self sabotage, you know? Self sabotage also, they consider it to be a behavioral dysregulation, which we have difficulty maybe identifying our emotions, self regulating, problem solving, identifying problems, identifying behaviors that are causing us to self sabotage, right? We aren't able to maybe recognize that we are self sabotaging, right? Self sabotage can be conscious or unconscious. It just depends on your level of awareness. So you can be completely aware that you are self sabotaging but continue the behavior because it's a norm or because it's comfortable, right? Or you can literally have no idea that you're doing this, and hopefully if that is your case, that hopefully something I say will help you to become aware, because awareness is the first key in overcoming anything. I say this many episodes because if we're unaware of something happening, if we're unaware of a problem, a situation, a behavior, illness, whatever it might be, we can never fix it or get help for it because it's not in our existence. We're not thinking about it. We're not figuring out ways to solve it and different things like that. So you can be conscious or unconscious of it, but it is rooted in, and this is also from psychology, positive psychology. It is rooted in counterproductive mindsets, including negativity, disorganization, indecisiveness, and negative self-talk. It can be shown as perfectionism. It can be shown as imposter syndrome. Those are also forms of self sabotage, Imposter syndrome, you are not even believing. You're not believing in your success, not believing one's success is deserved or achieved as one's own effort. You're not even believing that you can do the thing. Definitely gonna have episodes about imposter syndrome and perfectionism because I also struggle with those, and you might be like, "Oh, that's me," and trust me, we're going to talk about those two things separately in other episodes. But self sabotage can be a form of self sabotage, can be imposter syndrome and perfectionism. You are putting so much expectation. It has to be perfect. Like, how many of us say we're going to do this, and it's all got to be perfect? And when it's not perfect, then we delay doing it again. We live in fear because of it, because we set such high expectation for ourselves. That is a form of self-sabotage. You know why? Because how can you expect yourself to be perfect when nobody's perfect? Your spouse isn't going to be perfect. Your kids aren't going to be perfect. You aren't going to be perfect. Your parents aren't going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. So when we put this unattainable amount of weight and expectation on ourselves, we're going to constantly live in disappointment, that we disappointed others, that we disappointed ourselves, that we're failures, and then it might delay us from continuously moving forward. It might delay us from trying something new. So that's self-sabotaging, like what other things we want to do in life, because we put such high expectations that it might prevent us from going for things. We might imposter syndrome is big. Like, I feel that every time I do something that like, for example, oh my goodness, I've imposter syndrome sometimes. Like when I was going into the field of social work, especially when I became a therapist, sometimes when I do the podcast, most of the times, like I really, I feel it and it's real, like you might not feel it in something that you've done for a long time. Like, for example, when I played softball, I didn't really experience imposter syndrome that I'm aware of. Like, I could have maybe when I was younger, but not that I'm aware of, because that's something I did for so long. I felt good in it. I felt like I could do it. Like, I believed in my success. I believed in my efforts. But then I became a perfectionist at it. So it's just like, it just depends. But yes, that is a form. So if there's something you struggle with, that could be a form of self-sabotage. There could be mindless distractions that cause self-sabotage. For example, binge watching TV. So you say you have this project. You know this project is due. You knew it was due. Your teacher said this project will be due on February. What's today? Today's February 3rd. I'm recording an episode on the 3rd. So February 3rd. and your teacher told you way back January 3rd, you're going to have a project. This project is going to be worth 50% of your grade. So you're like, all right, I'm going to make sure I do little by little so that I'm not doing it the night before because this is 50% of my grade. And I know there's not many projects like that. I don't know what made me think 50% because that's a big part of your grade, but exactly. So that means you need to really do a good job for the most part because it's a big part of your grade. So say instead of you you originally wanted to maybe do a little bit weekly, like maybe write down the things you need for the project, start doing the research. Then you might want to do paragraph one. Then you might want to do this, then do that. And next thing you know, you're continuously binge watching TV. You're surfing the internet. You're scrolling on social media. You're obsessing over video games. You're internet shopping. And then it is February 3rd and your assignment's due at 11:59 and now you're scrambling to get it done. Or maybe you missed the deadline. You could be fearful of making a mistake. You could be fearful of you could be fearful of making a mistake. You could be fearful of doing a good job. Like sometimes fear isn't just the unknown. Sometimes we could be fearful if we've lived in a life where we felt we weren't good at stuff. Success can be scary to us. So you don't want maybe you like deep down you yes on the surface you want to do a good job because you want to pass because you want to get your degree, but you're scared of success. That's a real thing. You can be scared of good things that if you never experienced them in life, if you've never seen a happy marriage or a happy relationship, if you've never been around healthy friends, so that when we get into those things that are actually healthy, we might start self-sabotaging because it's uncomfortable. Like, oh, I don't know what a happy relationship is. Oh, I don't know what a healthy relationship or healthy friendship is. Oh, I don't know what it means to feel appreciated at a job. Like self-sabotage can also be fear of, the good things, fear of success. So some of the things, like I said, mindless distractions, binge watching TV, surfing the internet, scrolling through social media, video game obsession, internet shopping. We also can, with self-sabotaging, there can be avoidant behaviors where we get stuck in negative and self-destructive cycles. Some of these common behaviors are procrastination, just as I mentioned, I just gave the example of procrastinating when you thought you had more time to finish an assignment. Chronic tardiness. Maybe you're late for everything and you set your alarm. I'm going to get up an extra hour early. Then next thing you know, the first thing you do is you get on the phone, you start scrolling. You're like, oh crap, I need to get up. One more episode. Let me watch one more video. And you know how Instagram and TikTok is. Once you find one funny video, you're on your phone for like 2 hours. Then you're constantly late for work. So procrastination, chronic tardiness, giving up when things get rough, and a lack of assertiveness. And also with self-sabotage, there can be rational fears. Some common ungrounded fears include fearing commitment. So that's why I talked about relationship. If you're finally in a healthy relationship after years and years and years and years and years of not being in a healthy relationship, you might be fearful to commit because you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting for them to hurt you. You're waiting. So you might start to nitpick at everything they do, like even if it's not major, because you are trying to protect yourself in a way. It's a way of, some people say it's like a coping mechanism. It's something that you're trying to do to keep yourself safe, but yeah. So fearing commitment. Some other grounded fears are the unknown, which we talked about, the unknown, the uncertainties of unknown, which every human, I'm sure, has had some fear of the unknown and uncertainty. Another common ungrounded fear is change, failure, and losing control. So some examples of self-sabotage. I kind of already gave some examples, but you could be self-sabotaging relationships. So like I said, constantly picking a fight with your partner, even over the littlest things. And maybe they are doing their best. They're apologizing. I mean, they are showing behaviors that you never seen, meaning they're so good compared to your past relationships, but your mindset is just trying to protect yourself. So you have to protect yourself. So you're constantly nitpicking with them and you are self-sabotaging the relationship, or maybe you're choosing partners who you are not compatible with. You know who you are and what you really need, but you keep choosing people that you're not compatible with because maybe you don't think you deserve love, or maybe you don't think you deserve to be told you're beautiful or to be told you're handsome or whatever it might be. You can also self-sabotage at work. I gave the example of if you had an assignment due, I mean, maybe not at school, but maybe at your job, and you constantly are late to work, or you turn the assignments in late, and this is preventing you from getting a promotion. You're sabotaging your chance of success moving up in the organization because you keep being late, or because you keep forgetting to turn in assignments even though they're done, or maybe you're forgetting to turn them in completely. So yeah, someone with a fear of failure might wait until the last minute to work on an important project, unconsciously avoiding the chance for a promotion or to move up in the company. So, what causes self sabotaging behavior? According to www.verywellmind.com, some of the causes are low self esteem. Think about it. I think this one is big because if you don't have any confidence in yourself about who you are, what you bring to the table, then you will sabotage things that are good for you because you don't think you deserve it, because you don't have the confidence. Maybe you don't have the self love. Maybe you don't have the self respect. Whatever it might be, the low self esteem plays a factor into the, respecting yourself and loving yourself, because when you have high self-esteem, then you will respect yourself. You will see that, what, I do deserve this promotion because I worked hard at it. You know why? Because I went to school for this, and I prepared for this, and I have the education, and I have the qualifications, and I deserve this. Or you'll start saying, you know what? I deserve this relationship. I know I've had my hard times with finding the right person, but I deserve to be loved like this. And I deserve to love myself like this. And that's why I think the self esteem is a big part in this, because once you start to love yourself and you start to have confidence about who you are and what you bring to the table, you won't allow yourself to destroy something that you deserve. You will start seeing that you deserve these things. When we don't think we deserve something, of course we start to not that we don't care that we don't get, it's not that we don't care. I think it's just, it becomes a norm. If you don't think you deserve something, you act on that. Example, say growing up you were told you'd never be nothing. You're never going to be nothing. You're going to be like your dad. You're going to be this, whatever the case may be, and you internalize those behaviors and you start to act in that way. You know what? They're right. I'm never going to be nothing. They're right. I'm going to be like my dad. But at the end of the day, you can be who you want to be. And I'm a little ahead of myself, but because the next bullet is going to talk about difficulty in childhood, but it plays a big factor. And I bring that example up because I think so many times, because kids might hear things, they might have been through things that they haven't healed from, and they internalize it and they kind of identify with it. So if, like I said, I just said an example, but like if your mom always told you you're going to be like your dad who's locked up, and then you start to literally displaying the same behaviors as the dad because that's what you were told. That's how you grew up. You grew up in dysfunction. You grew up in someone, your caretaker not even believing in you. Of course you're going to start sabotaging, because you're going to start believing what she said over who you are. And that's where that low self-esteem comes in, because I think once we get to a point where we do feel confident in ourselves, I'm not saying the things people say won't hurt us, but we won't let it take us down. We know how hard we work to get to where we are, that we're going to be like, you can say what you want. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to do my thing. So, what causes self-sabotaging behavior? Low self-esteem, difficulty childhood. Maybe you grew up in dysfunction constantly. Maybe you've seen your mom or someone or your parent constantly go through relationship after relationship after relationship. So you don't even know what healthy relationship is. Maybe it was just constantly yelling and abuse in your household, whatever it might be. Your childhood definitely plays a factor in what you sabotage, because since you didn't grow up with a healthy relationship or a healthy way of communicating, you take that into your adulthood, into your other relationships, into your other friendships, into your other jobs, whatever you grew up with. So difficulty childhood could cause it. Difficulty in relationships, like I said, if you were never in a healthy relationship, had a spouse who constantly put you down and all that stuff, you might hear a compliment and literally not accept a compliment and start self-sabotaging because you don't know what it feels like to get a compliment. Um, Another cause of self-sabotaging behaviors is cognitive dissonance, which is the mental discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. So I'm going to give you an example on this. And this is, like I said, this is an example from theverywellmind.com. The example is you are about to land a great client and earn more money than ever before. Rather than do what it takes to propel yourself forward, you hold yourself back because you don't feel worthy. So you get drunk the night before the client meeting and miss it entirely. Rather than move ahead, you take actions to screw things up for yourself. So that's an example of cognitive dissonance. And another cause of self sabotaging behavior, fear. I talked about that a little bit at the beginning. Fear of the unknown, fear of success, fear of doing good. If you've never done good, you're told you weren't going to be nothing. Getting a good job might feel fearful to you. Um, Fear comes in different ways. People are fearful of different things, but fear is a part of what could cause you to self sabotage. I didn't see much research on this when I was looking this topic up, which is self sabotaging your own relationship with self. I didn't see much on that. I saw more of like relationships, work, friendships, all that. But I think we can self sabotage our relationship with ourselves because, say, we never had a relationship with ourselves, right? And next thing you know, like anytime you have the chance to be alone or anytime you have a chance to take yourself out or do something for you, you don't. You get involved with other people's dramas, other people's stuff because it's comfortable, because that's what you know, because maybe you don't like yourself, maybe you don't know yourself. And it came to my mind because that's something I feel like I mean, yes, I think we all have self sabotage at some point. But when I think about self sabotage right now at the top of my head, I really think I self sabotage my relationship with myself because I think that for me growing up with being a people pleaser, I saw that I had to, pour into everyone else above me. So I never did stuff for myself. Like, yeah, the necessities of feeding myself and stuff, but like actually taking myself out and actually journaling and believing in myself and believing that I deserve certain things. I never did that until like I share many times until I had my breaking moment when, I had to change patterns and things came to the surface. I became aware of things I never knew about myself and all that. So I do think we can self-sabotage relationship with ourselves because anytime I had time to be alone with myself, my self-sabotage for me was to just get in someone else's business, meaning say somebody needed something. Oh, I would do it. Mind you, I shouldn't have done it because I needed to pour into me and I needed to fill my cup up and be with myself. And deep down, I knew that, or deep down, I wanted to do that, but that was fearful to me. Spending time with myself was fearful to me because it was so unknown, because I never did it before. I saw life as making sure everybody else was okay. But I self-sabotage my relationship with myself, but now I see that it is important for me to take time for me, because when I take time for me, I can fill up my cup and then also be there for others. Like I feel like it's strengthened not only my relationship with myself, but also my relationship with others. So that's just a thought. Like maybe you're someone that has self-sabotaged a relationship with yourself. And like I said, I didn't see much on that online when I was looking it up, but I feel like you can. Like a relationship is a relationship, It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship. It doesn't have to be a friendship. You can have a relationship with yourself. So whatever are self-sabotaging, just know that it isn't easy. Like even when you figure it out, then you have to deal with maybe the guilt of doing it for so long and the frustration of not knowing early enough. But the thing is, you know now, and all you can do is move forward and just do what you can now, and just know that you're doing your best. So some steps to stop self-sabotage. Become self-aware. That is definitely key, because when we become self-aware of our triggers, our past, our traumas, our patterns, whatever it might be, once you become aware of it, then you have a better chance of figuring out what you need to do. Maybe you self-sabotage. Maybe you are a procrastinator and you wait till the last minute, and maybe that stemmed from the fear of success. So then you might notice that you might be fearful for success because of a trigger from when you were in your childhood. Like, you can connect the pieces to why you are the way you are. And the more that you connect the pieces to why, you can figure out what do you need so that you don't do that to yourself, because it is unhealthy. It will affect things. It affects your relationship with yourself. It affects your relationship with others, with work, with friends, with whatever. It really does affect your life. So the more that you can become aware of what it is the problem and why it might have happened, you can bring it to surface and figure out how you can fix it. Figure out what you need to do to overcome it. Another step is self-compassion. Self-compassion for everything, for self-sabotaging, for the things you didn't know as a child, for the things you didn't know now, for the things you did wrong, for the times you let yourself down, for the times that the things that you went through. You just have to have compassion, because a lot of times when we go through this healing journey, we might get mad at ourselves like, oh, why didn't I know? You have to tell yourself you did the best with what you knew. Maybe you didn't grow up knowing what self-love is. You know why? Maybe because it wasn't shown to you. Maybe your environment, everyone kind of hated each other and you never seen love. So how would you know what love is? You have to give yourself compassion for doing the best you could and realizing that look what you're doing now. Look how far you've overcome. And I always try to use the example with self-compassion. Like, if your friend came to you and she's crying or he's crying and they're going through a really rough time, they went through a divorce, whatever it might be, you wouldn't be like, get out my face. You'd probably be there and comfort them. Think about yourself as that. It might require a lot of tears because you self-sabotage a lot of healthy things, a lot of opportunities, but guess what? More will come, and it's about you being able to be aware of it now so that you don't prevent yourself from your success in the future, right? We can't change the past, we can only move forward. And I think sometimes we get caught up in that. And I'm saying sometimes because sometimes I do that. When I learn something new about myself, when I learn a new skill that helps me, I go, why? Why couldn't I have known that a year ago? Then maybe that would have worked out. Maybe I would have gotten that job. Maybe I would have graduated earlier. Maybe I would have been able to stay in that relationship. We constantly do that to ourselves. But it's about learning. It happened for a reason. You had to learn from it. And now, right now, at this moment, you can learn what you need to learn so that it doesn't hinder your success in the future. So, self-compassion. Journaling. Journaling, I talk about journaling a lot, but it helps you. It helps you to figure out your thoughts. Maybe you don't know you're in a negative thought cycle. Maybe you don't know that. And that's a part of why you self-sabotage, because you have constant negative thoughts from things that you were told as a child, and they're not even your thoughts. They're not even things that you said about yourself, but it's things you heard and that you internalized and now that you're living through. So maybe you need to write it down and see that. Maybe you need to figure out, writing it down will help you see the patterns. Maybe you notice every time you're around a certain group of people, you self-sabotage, or maybe in certain environments. Like, it just helps you to put the pieces together. Self-care, 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 self-care. You have to get in. I think I've talked about self-care almost every episode, just being able to do something for you, starting to develop that relationship with yourself, starting to do the things that you need for yourself. And it's important. You have to care for you. How can you care for other people? How can you care for other things? How can you give other things to other people? You have to give them to yourself first. Self-care is important. And seek support. Seeking support doesn't have to mean a professional. I always advocate for seeking professional help if you need it, speaking to a therapist or someone in the field, because they can help you. They are educated in their field and they have expertise, and they can guide you and help you maybe to sit with uncomfortable emotions, or maybe they help you to see something you've never seen in a pattern, or see something you've never seen in a relationship or in your life. They can give you guidance. They can be a support. They can, encourage you. They can just help you through the difficult time that you're going through. Or maybe you're not going through a difficult time, but it just kind of is part of your routine that you like to speak to someone. That's okay. Seeking support could also mean that maybe you speak to someone that you trust. Like, maybe you're just now realizing right in this moment you're a self-sabotager, and you want to speak to your best friend about it, and maybe you want them to hold you accountable for something, like, hey, when you see this behavior, can you remind me to do this because this helps me with that. Finding people that you trust that can help you do this difficult time, because it is difficult. And remember, seeking help is a strength. It's not a weakness. It's a strength because it shows that you want to get help. It shows that you want someone to be there for you. It shows that you want to get better. So seek support if you need to. And before I close, guys, I want us to realize that, healing is a lifelong journey. It's not linear. It doesn't go in a straight line. It's going to have good days and bad days. So wherever you are with your healing journey, wherever you are with this, however you feel with this episode, you might feel happy, you might feel frustrated, you might feel like you don't know where to start. Wherever you are, just know that it's no rush, and be compassionate with yourself. I think I want us to remember, when we self-sabotage, we are hindering ourselves from something amazing. We're hindering ourselves for something we deserve. And I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you deserve it. And I know it's still going to take time. It's still going to take time to actually believe it and feel it. And I'm speaking from experience, because when I started doing this work, I still didn't believe I deserved the things that I did. But every day I kept pouring a little bit more into my cup, still doing a little bit more work, still being a little bit more compassionate. And it takes time, but you will get there. And even when you get there, you still have more obstacles to overcome. And I'm not saying that to make you feel like, oh my goodness, but I'm saying it to say that take small steps a day and realize that God loves you and He wants you to live a happy life. When we self-sabotage, we're stopping ourselves from the things that God might be putting in our lives. Maybe He put that man in your life for a reason. Maybe He put that idea in your heart for a reason, because He believes you can do that. He believes that you deserve to be loved. He believes that that idea that you have will help millions. So don't self-sabotage it. Like, trust Him and trust yourself that you deserve it. And I just want us to live that life. You deserve it. We deserve it. We deserve to live a life that is to our fullest potential, that is filled with love and laughter. And I know we'll have good days and we'll have bad days, and we have days where we just, everything's too much. But we deserve to reach our goals, to be successful. You deserve that. We deserve that. And I just hope that after listening to this episode that you know that you are loved, and that it's okay if you are struggling with this. I hope you know that God loves you. I love you. You matter. Everything's going to be okay. And it starts today, You can't change the past. You can only move forward. And I hope that you guys have an amazing week. And if you need any words of encouragement, check out the Instagram page at the Break-In Moment Podcast for some encouragement. And I hope you all have a good week. And I will talk to you guys again next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Break-In Moment Podcast. If this information was helpful, please share it with others. And if you enjoy listening, subscribe to the podcast so you can get the latest episodes. You can listen to the Break-In Moment Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Until then, I will see y'all next week.